Hello and welcome back to the Film Custodian Show. I am the Film Custodian and I'm back in the garage after a hard day's work. And there's nothing better than sitting down and watching a good show like The Rings of Power. No, I'm just kidding. That show is garbage. I, of course, am talking about House of the Dragon. Spoilers, of course. Spoilers, if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the episode or the show and then come back and watch this. So, Paddy Considine is great. I believe I'm saying that name correctly. Anyway, he's the king. And he is just magnificent. He's been one of my favorite parts of this entire show so far. All right, so episode 8, which is the my favorite episode so far. So, but before that, a quick recap of episode 7, sort of the highlights of episode 7. All right, so my highlights of episode 7 are, well, of course, it's Aemon Targaryen and the dragon. I mean, he gets on the dragon, and, well, actually, so earlier in the series, the other kids are kind of making fun of him, the other boys. They're like, haha, you can't get a dragon, you don't have a dragon. So finally, when Daemon Targaryen's wife dies, she's having problems giving birth to their child, and it's the same decision that came down in the pilot. Is the wife gonna be saved or the child gonna be saved? And ultimately she decides, well, I'm just gonna go and get burned up by my dragon. Okay, she's very stoic, very stoic. So she goes, her dragon, after a little bit of hesitation, burns her alive, and now this dragon is left riderless. There's no one to ride this dragon. Free dragon! Free dragon! Dragon for sale. So what Aemon Targaryen does eventually is he remembers that the other kids are always making fun of him and whatnot, and he's kind of the loser, and he's like, okay, well, I'm done with that. I'm done being the loser. So this kid decides, all right, I'm gonna take this opportunity. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take this dragon. I'm gonna, what would you call it? I'm gonna tame this dragon. This dragon is gonna be mine. I'm going to be the next dragon rider of this dragon. I can't remember the name of the dragon, but it's the biggest dragon. It is a huge dragon. So basically, what ends up happening is, in a very, very dark scene, this came up a couple times. It's very hard to see some of these dark scenes, some of these scenes at night on your TV because they're really dark. And because in Game of Thrones and now in House of the Dragon, they're obsessed with the idea of natural lighting. So they light the entire scene with candles or moonlight or simulated moonlight, and just they're not staging anything in a way that you're going to have fake light, so to speak, or kind of your source is obviously staged. They want as real of light as possible, because that's the look and the feel and the tone that they're going for. Okay, fine, I got it. And look, I love scenes that are at night. You got the moonlight shining, there's just more drama. It's like scenes in the rain. There's just visually, there's always more drama, more things going on. But of course, when you go back to the Battle of Winterfell, which a lot of people really didn't like, I liked the battle, I thought it was good, but yes, on the initial viewing, it's really, really dark. You couldn't see anything. In fact, it was really pixely and dark. So, and people brought this up to HBO. They're like, well, we can't see anything. And it was basically like, well, whatever, screw you guys. And they kind of continue that. One of the patterns that I'm finding is that these episodes are all directed by Mikhail Sapochnik. And he's a great director, but I think, all right, but you get that what you're seeing on your monitors and your TVs, we might not be able to see that same thing. Because everybody has different settings on their TV. And with LED screens and whatnot, it can look really just like, a soup, really pixely and just blah. It looks terrible, unless you are able to set your TV up for cinema, for movies and TV. So you got to have the right settings. Most people don't do that. They just plug and play and they go. So a lot of what they're watching just looks like puke, especially in these really, really dark scenes. All right, that was I went off on a little rant there, but. Again, I don't think it was that big a deal. I could see everything that was going on, but yeah, there was some times when I'm kind of like, squinting, like I can't really see what's going on. But so anyway, yeah, man. Anyway, that's neither here nor there really. So okay, so he goes off, and the dragon kind of looks at him, and he's like, you could see, he's like, what are you doing? Why are you bothering me? And it's like, and he's just kind of says some stuff in High Valyrian or whatever Targaryens are speaking. And eventually he's just like, okay, great, gets on, hops on, and it is just fantastic. It's one of my favorite scenes so far in House of the Dragon, one of my favorite scenes in sort of Game of Thrones altogether, is you got this kid, he gets on the dragon, they go off, you got the moon and everything, and he's even, going, whoa, and kind of falling around, he's barely holding on, like, looking down, ah! It was just a lot of fun. It was really magical. It was full of fantasy, it was great. It was fantastic. And you're like, this is a win for this character, congratulations, good for you. Until he got home, at which time he, takes his cloak off, walks into the room, and the other kids show up and they're like, hey, that was my mom's dragon, what are you doing? And he's just like, ugh. He just walks in, his ego is, huge now, and he's just like, oh, well, I'm just the big shit now, so screw all of you kids. Oh, it's my dragon now, screw you, too bad. And eventually he ends up, punching the other kids, and at one point he's even got a rock, and he's like, gonna like smash the other kid in the face. I'm like, what? This is ridiculous, this is insane. This went from, just like a magical ride on a dragon to now we're about to kill your family members, your cousins and whatnot. And then eventually what happens is one of the other boys, one of Rhaenyra's kids, grabs a knife and slices Aemon across the eye. He loses the eye, but he gained a dragon, as he says, because directly after that is more confrontation. The whole family gets involved. Everyone's yelling and screaming at each other. Knives pull out. King Viserys eventually says, stop it! Stop it all! Oh, God, stop it! Stop fighting! And so episode 7 was great. That was sort of a longer sort of review. So let's actually get to episode 8 now. 6 years later, so we've time jumped again. Not 10 years, but 6 years this time. That's fine. I can deal with it, and I get it. I kind of like the idea that they're bouncing around because they're leading up to the Civil War, the War for Succession, the Dance of Dragons. Great. I'm there for it. The time jumps. I haven't had... The only thing so far that's bothered me about the time jumps is now that the sea snake is now dead, or he's really sick, or he's missing. Oh, that's right. He's got some kind of illness, and he might be gone. He might be gone from the show. That's the only thing I don't like, is that you time jump and then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, that guy died 6 years ago, and you're like, what? Like, you're not getting a full conclusion to that character. So that was my one gripe with the time jumps, but otherwise it's great. And the people that they got for the new kids, especially the one that really shined in this episode is Aemon Targaryen. And the guy that they got him, that they cast to play the sort of, I don't know, teenager, early 20s, I think, something like that, is actually in a movie with Robert Pattinson, another very weird artsy-fartsy movie called High Life. And it's set in space, and basically in that film they're all convicts and they're set off into space to do like experiments on and stuff like that. It's a very artsy-fartsy film, and he actually plays like I said, a criminal. So yeah, I mean, and he's perfect as the role of Aemon. He's a very, you can tell he's going to be ruthless and really a force to be reckoned with, and kind of, slimy, but there's a certain level of maybe respect too, because you know what he's been through and why he got to this point. And again, yeah, your allegiance sort of goes back and forth. You're kind of with Rhaenyra, and then you're with Alicent Hightower, and you're kind of, everybody's just, there's a great scene. There's a really sort of a Last Supper kind of thing where King Viserys, who by the way is more or less a zombie at this point, he's just really thin. You could tell they did some CGI, or they got like a body double who's a lot smaller than him, and kind of CGI'd his head on there and did some really good makeup. He's basically like a zombie at this point with some disease. We still don't know what it is, but that's okay. And he even has like a half mask that he wears now because one of his eyes is gone, his jaw's all decaying and whatnot. And he's like, we're going to have this supper, we're going to get together, and he's making one final attempt for everybody to get along, to make amends. And you think for a second everything might get along, everybody might get along, but no, the inevitable, it's just going to turn to absolute war. And it was really kind of a precursor to that, in a lot of ways. And then my favorite scene in this episode is, Paddy Candestine, I think I just said it correctly. Whatever, Paddy, the King Viserys, The guy who just wants to build his models and be left alone. This guy has been great from the beginning, and he's fantastic in this episode. People are even throwing around, he should win an Emmy and whatnot. And yeah, I agree. Like, there's the scene. They're in the throne room. They're talking to the Hightower. His hand. He's sort of taken over duties while the king is out because he's just so sick and frail now. So this guy, he's all hunched down. He's got his cane. You hear the doors open up, and then the music hits. And it is the perfect marriage of music and images and pure cinema. And he just comes in, he's got the cane, he's got the hat, the mask on for the first time, and you're just like this image of this, really frail, just, he's kind of skulking around, he's barely making it, and he just has to like, I'm going to do it, I'm going to sit on the throne one last time, and I'm going to fix this. And the determination, the music, the shots behind him and everything, flawless. Flawlessly directed, flawlessly shot. I mean, it's just so good, and it amazes me that you can still have surprises. I mean, this show still surprises you. It's great, and he eventually he's like, there's one point he's not going to make it up to the throne. He's not going to make it to be able to sit down. He's just crawling up there. He's just constipated the entire time. His crown falls off. And you're like, what's going to happen? And then Daemon comes over and picks up the crown. And, the king kind of looks over like, and he's just like, no, it's okay. I'm going to help you. Daemon helps him get up there, puts the crown back on his head. And it was just a great moment between the two characters. Because Daemon really does love his brother. And Viserys really does love Daemon. And it's just, but of course they've been at odds this whole time. So if they follow that formula from Game of Thrones, then this next episode, episode 9, something insane is going to happen. Maybe the breakout of the war. I don't know. Viserys finally does die at the end, and through a miscommunication now with relating to the prophecy, Alicent Hightower believes that the king was talking about Aemon Targaryen, or not Aemon, but Aegon Targaryen should actually be the king. Which, yeah, that guy, oh man, what a punk. They cast really well. That guy is just, you just want to like, yeah, he's just got a really smackable face. Oh man, yeah, you don't like him at all. But anyway, yeah, this show is great. I recommend it. Catch up to it. Hey, if you like my stuff, please like and subscribe. It helps out a lot. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Hit that like button. Share the video. Leave a comment. Tell me if you like the show. If you don't like the show, just tell me what you like about it or what you don't like about it. All right. I'll see you in the next one.